And we go back, bro. So you've seen the transition, but you seen it
Yeah.
like because we're not like constantly around each other, so you'll see it in like chunks. You know what I'm saying? Like it'll be like
Yeah.
you'll see me like seasonally. You know what I mean? But you knew me up. You knew me when I was out there. So
Yeah, I'm trying to remember when it was. It's
Del
definitely
Val,
like
bro. So two,
senior year, junior, senior year.
so for sure it would have been 1998.
Yeah, 7 or 8, something like that.
98 for
Yeah.
sure. Because I got kicked out of
Okay.
school my sophomore year, and that was
I'll bet.
98.
All right. Well, right. That's pretty clear. Me too. But that was a different year.
the yops at the church.
Yo.
That church is part of my story, bro, which is crazy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yo, we gotta set up a play date or something, man. When I get my daughter, I get her next week.
Let's do it, bro.
See if we can get something popping. Y'all got bikes?
She has a scooter.
Race? Okay.
And then my son, he got a bike. It's a little big for him though. He might have grown into it, but
So it's been a while. I'm assuming it's been a while.
We just got it for his birthday because the other bike was too small, and this bike is a tad too big. He could ride it, but he's kind of shook. Yeah. Bro, who would have thought, bro, from Del Val, yops of the porch to this, bro? This is crazy to me.
Here we are, man. Yeah, it's quite a journey.
It's wild.
We're all on quite a journey. I do have to say. Yeah, I'm trying to get some more freestyle sessions popping, man.
Remember Toddy and Val?
Yeah.
I ran into Toddy, bro. She came to my work. And she
came through. She got spits.
Yeah, she got bars, bro. So, fun fact, she's the one who inspired me to start writing.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, because
we'll get to that.
I freestyle all the time. Yeah.
Yes. You just heard Bob James, Take Me to Mardi Gras, and Storm King. And the production is just so raw. I mean, just to think that a man composed that and hears these sounds in his head and is able to organize them in such a way where such beautiful sound can come forth and be able to hook up with awesome musicians. I mean, Bob James, I was unaware of how great he was until a friend turned me on to him. And then I realized the roots of so many other things that spawned from his creation. So blessings. Welcome back to The Flow. I am your host of Repertoire and I hope everybody's doing well out there today. Our special guest, in The Flow, it's all about the guests. It's all about really learning how much more, learning ways to freedom through our guests, learning ways of their flow and their strength and resilience. So this special guest and I go way back, and I'm going to let him introduce himself. Please, what is your name and maybe some titles you go by?
Yeah, my name is Emmanuel Megan, but I go by Manny. So I've been Manny since I was in 3rd grade. Yep.
I know him as Manable. Give us a little history. Like, how do we know each other, Manable?
Man, so when I was a young lad, my sophomore year in high school, I went to continuation school, and my amigo Randy was also a student at the school. So we linked up and we would rap all the time. That was our connection, was hip hop music.
Yeah, I think I remember about you was like instant connection, right? Like I remember just like it was like no like, oh, who's this dude or nothing like that. It was like, yo, like, you just look dope, and found out that you flowed, so we kind of just got down like that, and we've been like flowing on and off throughout the years.
And I think too, real recognize real, right? So even as a 16-year-old, like I didn't have like a crazy ego, that I wasn't trying to like flex or be somebody. I was just who I was, and I got that same energy from you, so we just connected right away. Like we didn't know each other, but we met. And like there was kinship there. So,
and I found that to be kind of a theme over at Del Val, the continuation school that you're referring to, because I feel as if, like, even though we were misfits in some way and into mischief, there was some sort of like, kind of energetic pull that like I just felt cool with everybody. I remember like walking the halls there. I never felt like I was at a real school until I really went to that school. You know what I mean? For me, at least.
Yeah, well, that school taught me work ethic, man. I learned how to work first and play later. So the reason I was there is because I played first and never worked. and
Wow.
and that school taught me work ethic. So it told me, man, if I just knock out my stuff, I'll talk to you all day, but don't talk to me till I'm done. So I handle mine. I can't be about nothing else, and that's kind of been like what's guided me since then. Is
Yeah, and possibly the environment allowed that to come forth, because maybe at you went to Livermore or just at a public school. There's so much distraction. There's so much other things that can pull you. Yeah, they can pull us from maybe that center intention. Awesome. Well, we're going to continue on and learn more about the great things and lessons and goal that you've learned. But start off with this activity called Affinity. So I'm just going to share some statements and see if you can complete them to your best ability. So please tell us one thing, Manny, that you've accomplished and will always take pride in.
I would say graduating from college, because I'm the first one to graduate high school, but to go from high school to get my AA, and then just recently I got my bachelor's. So like last summer I got my bachelor's. So yeah,
that's what's up. That's what's up. Like kind of, you said first one, so in a sense, kind of like breaking the chain or just innovating. You know what I'm saying? Like
absolutely.
Changing the game up.
My mom or dad didn't graduate from high school. My dad's an immigrant, and my mom grew up in like foster care, and it was a part of the system forever. So with all my siblings, I'm like a pioneer in the sense that like, like I said, I went to continuation school, so you saw my trajectory, and something switched, and I figured out that I actually like learning. Might not like the structure of school, and that's another thing that Del Val taught me, is that I enjoy learning. It's just what's being taught and how it's taught. You know what I mean? Like public school could be really restrictive and like, this is the way it's done. Regurgitate, repeat after me. And continuation school is like, here's your work, do it. And then in that process, I learned like, oh, this is actually interesting. Just the format of which is taught is kind of like annoying sometimes. So
yeah, it's kind of like, this is some soup, it's bland and it's bitter, or this is some soup, eat it. You know what I mean? Like
for real.
You ain't eating nothing else. All right, how about this? Please tell us one way you help people and what you provide them.
One way I help people, I would say in a practical way too, because I work at a coffee shop. I just treat people like people, bro. I friend people, even like people I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, and it's genuine, so it's not like a inauthentic. Like, hey, like. It's legitimate. Like we're community, even if we don't know each other. You know what I'm saying? Like, So I don't know if that's because really a help, but to me, I feel like it is. A lot of people don't get that. Like I've had interesting experiences with people responding to me being like genuine in that way.
Yeah, well, I would imagine, especially for one who, in contrast, maybe came from an environment where they weren't welcome or there was hostility or just a bad vibe, coming to somewhere where they would, not expect that. Might be like, oh, kind of like turn things around for them in a sense of just like where their brain might be in contrast to what space you're holding, So I would imagine that'd be a huge help. So please tell us one person you believe in and why you stand behind them.
One person I believe in. It depends on how deep I want to get, bro. Do you want to go Marianas or want to go like?
But let's just put you're holding the wheel, man. I'm sitting shotgun.
Then I'll go. I don't know if it's deep. I'm gonna just say I believe in Jesus. Like I believe in the Gospels. I believe in the Bible. So that's
enough said.
My ground.
Yeah. Bet. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing that with us. And as I was sharing with you before, every guest that I know that has been on the flow, I always learn more depths and more about their journey because we just get to get into their path and what they've gone through. So we're going to rewind time back with you and take a look at, your roots. So Manny, I think I might even know this answer already, but for everyone listening, where were you brought up from? Like, where were you born at?
I was born in Oakland and I moved here in 1990. There was a bunch, like, I have siblings. I have 2 older brothers, and an older
Mhm.
sister, and they were just going through it, and my mom wanted to escape that environment, so we gradually like made our way this way, and that was like her dream, was to leave Oakland. And I think to myself, like now as an adult, man, what a small dream just to be able to like leave a city. But for her, that was like legit. Like her dream was to like escape where she was at. And eventually we landed in Livermore, and it was like culture shock.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. In what way?
Well, when I used to live in Oakland in 1990, I lived on Fruitvale, and it was
Mhm.
primarily like the people that in that community looked like me when I lived there in 1990.
Mhm.
So now that's not the demographic so much, but when I was there, it was I generally like everybody looked like me. So to come into a place where like
Okay.
nobody looked like me and I stood out so much at a young age, I noticed it and had to get like the talks, you know what I'm saying, from step pops and like, yo, why's everybody staring at me? Like, why don't I'm not glowing. I'm just a regular dude. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
yeah, it was culture shock.
Gotcha.
So my first it's a funny story. My first week in Livermore, I remember I was outside and I remember I ran home and told my mom that I saw another black person. After after like a week, it was a bus driver. And I remember I freaking lost my mind. Like, there's other black people here. We're not the only one.
Oh my goodness! Wow. Okay, that makes total sense. And so when you were, if you could remember that far back, what were some aspirations or childhood dreams you had, about yourself as an adult?
So I vision myself like 80s movies. You know what I'm saying? It's hilarious. Like for real. Like yeah, I picture myself like growing up. This is a small vision though. I didn't think I'd live to be 18. I always thought I would like die super young, just because
Mm,
that was what I grew up around, right? Like I said, I lived in Oakland, like
wow.
you know, and my stepdad told me that most young black males don't like they have a rough time, you know what I'm saying? And I'll be lucky to live to be 18. So I lived my life with a lot of fear as a teenager, because I always thought I would just like die. So I didn't have like visions for my future in the sense of like I'm gonna be a doctor, a lawyer, astronaut. It was like I'm just trying to make it. But what I pictured myself looking like was like Wesley Snipes and Blade, basically. Have like a box cut and some black
Yeah.
leather gloves and a dangly earring, just
Yeah.
like that. Like, but nah. So for real, I had to like learn how to dream. I'm still learning how to dream.
Wow.
Yeah,
Something struck me when you said that, and there's a part of me that wants to kind of slow down, and just honor that, just honor the freedom that your mind is wanting, and wanting to dream further than the container in which it might have been constructed in. And I think back at, you know, some of the young people who still might be in that mind state, still might be in that environment, still might have those similar fears. And then I'm also looking in contrast to those who are fortunate enough to have the privilege to never experience that, and not
yeah,
even know and not even know that that's a privilege.
and that's the reality too, right? Is that on some level you have to be like taught to dream. I think it's like in us, but I think there's ways that it's like capped. So some people,
Yeah.
the dream only goes to I'm gonna be a football player, I'm gonna be a rapper, and that's where like the dream ends. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because those seem like the only like lanes available. But the reality is like we're free, bro. We can do like anything. And I feel like there's like even like supernatural like circumstances where people in like those environments, like we'll just say dark environments or
Mm.
environments where there's seemingly like not a lot of hope, they'll
Yeah.
uh they'll get revelation of like more and they'll pursue it. But I don't think that's the norm. I think you have to be like taught that from the outside.
Yeah, well, I think that part of it is within the encouragement to continue to dream when you do share it, and also it's I think if anything, it's permission, right? Like when you are sharing your dream, how are people responding? Are they encouraging it, or are they downplaying it? Like, oh, that'll never happen. Stop. You need to quit with all that, or whatever it may be. And I just feel like our spirit just knows how to do all these things if it had the container to flow, right? If there was freedom for it to flow,
Absolutely.
it would grow. Right, that's kind of how we grow. We're naturally just going to grow and learn more, if the environment allows it, the circumstance allows it to. So within this, I'm curious as to like what were some things that you were into when you were little, like before you even got here, like some hobbies.
Yeah, I've always been in mixed martial arts. Not even mixed martial arts. I've always been in like fight sports. So like as a
Mm.
little kid, I grew up watching Bruce Lee. Grew up watching like all the like Wu Tang movies, uh, Jackie Chan. I've always been fascinated by like that. mythology. I've always been fascinated by like Greek mythology. Uh,
Yeah.
got hella into comic books by the time I was like 12. Like, so like to this day as an adult, I like nerd on that stuff, bro. I like love like
Yeah.
seeing what I used to read as a kid on screen is so dope. So yeah, those are some of the things I was into. I didn't get into music till I was in like middle school, which is funny because I didn't like care about music, and out of nowhere, I was like about that life and like couldn't get enough of it. And which was and my music changed as I got older. Uh, my horizons broadened because I used to only listen to rap because I thought that's what black people have to listen to. I was stuck in a box.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, this,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I'm noticing a parallel between just martial arts and the discipline that it requires. Like to really be a good study of martial arts and to be, I would imagine, to be successful at it. It's like a single-minded thing, right? You train, right, and you're really dedicated and diligent towards that. And it's kind of like in parallel to like your work ethic, right? Like you like learn how to like really just separate these facets and qualities of your life and these parts of your personality to suit your success, in a sense, right? And that takes discipline. It takes knowing your opponent in a sense, right? So were there any mentors that you had that you grew up with who might have like encouraged some of these things that you were talking about?
So the first mentor I can think of that I had, like first person that I like looked at and watched was my older brothers. But one of my brothers, he got into a car accident when he was super young. So my second oldest brother became like the go-to, but our family
Mm-hmm.
got fractured just due to like just drama. So the first mentor that I had that wasn't like a relative was the manager of a grocery store here in Livermore.
Mm.
Like he became a father figure in my life because I didn't have one, which is crazy. You know what I mean? That's some
Yeah.
yeah, that he like took me in and yeah, I got to see what it's like to have like a dad, so to speak. It's crazy.
Yeah. So this brother you refer to, I remember. Is it June? We call him
Yeah,
June. Okay, I know
Junebug.
it's June. Oh, Junebug. Come on, man. Me and Junebug was cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's my boy, man. And I remember discovering that he was your brother. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. You know what I'm saying? So we peoples anyways, regardless, because
that-
I knew you already, and I knew him. I think before I even knew you. To
yeah.
be honest.
He was infamous out here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, bet. Yeah, enough said. Yes. So, like, was there an event as you were growing? We all have our benchmarks and monumental moments that shifted and changed us or molded us. Was there something you can recall that happened for you that really stuck out and really something that you'll never forget because of it humbled you or the lesson that was learned?
Mm, yeah. It was kind of a crazy story. So, how candid are we on this podcast? So I'll just
But we're gonna keep we're gonna keep the family show.
so I'll just say, one night, me and my friend me and my partner, he's a Puerto Rican dude, we were at the park, and I saw uh, a, this girl was smoking a cigarette, and I saw that there was somebody over there, and then she called my name. She's like, Manny, and then this other girl smashed off into like the hills, and she's like, don't tell them that we're over here. And in this moment, a bunch of dudes like surrounded us, and they was gonna jump us. And the reason for them wanting to like fight us is because she slapped the dude for saying the N word. He's like, oh, you're gonna diss me over some N word, and she slapped him. So then he wanted to fight me and my friends. But up until that moment, I used to talk like crazy, like I thought I was the dude. You know what I'm saying? And that kind of like showed me like, yo, like I don't need to talk. You know what I'm saying? Because I didn't like
Mm,
respond like the martial artist that I saw. I mean, my friend, we ran, bro, and freaking yeah, it was a bad situation, but it was a life changing situation because it legit, like you said, humbled me. That
yeah.
humbled me, and yeah, not in another situation that's not as dramatic, but yeah, I just learned to just be who I am and not try to like project myself to be something that I'm not. You know what I'm saying? Because I felt like I used to put it on.
Yeah, like it kind of brings me to this theory of like perhaps the gift of gab is learning how precious and like words are and how
They mean
present.
something.
Yeah, you can be to that energy, and like it's seeing how he was just kind of or they were just kind of running their jaws and everything, like wow, like this is what it can create. You know what I'm saying? This is the outcome of being like that.
Yeah,
Wow.
it was wild, but it was mad humbling. Yeah, I was mad. I was super mad. I was embarrassed. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Because yeah, but at the end of the day, it ended up being like a good thing because it like shifted my perspective and kind of gave me an insight to like the power of like words. You know what I'm saying?
And oftentimes it takes an experience like that, right? Something to check us, like, oh snap, like reality checks us. Like, damn, that could be my reality. You know, just picturing that because I'm that close to it. Well, you know what? Thank you so much, man. We're gonna get more to your story, but actually, some of your story leads to what's about to happen because I remember reuniting with you again at Sunset Community Church, I believe that's what it's called. And it was like this, the teen, whatever it was called, and we actually did a song together called "Father's Water." It was back in early 2000 at my apartment, and that's what you're about to hear. Repertoire. I did the production. We did. He did the first verse, and we did some prayers. Father's Water. Check it out. Then we'll get back to some more Bob James. Then we'll get back to some more Manny. But you're hearing it now. You're actually hearing Father's Water first on KCBZ Radio. Blessings, freedom flow, destination global. Ha 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 ha. Keep it locked. Manny's over here killing it. Where am I at? Yeah, Manny.
Yeah.
I got to get my charger, or the adapter so I can charge my phone and have the headphones in real quick. Be right back. Real quick, it's in my car. Give me a minute. The devil trying to hunt us like prey. It's supernatural like Santana. Check your motives today. Everybody has a perception on what's right and what's wrong. In your spirit, you walk for good, but yet your flesh is too strong. And it's hard to overcome like in a repetitive jam. Spirit and flesh, clashing heads like two competitive rams. In the last days, the body's intense and it's fierce. Without the shield of faith, the block of claiming arrows will pierce. I guarantee that people don't need that. You want some peace up in your life, you can't receive that. Cause this world has nothing to offer but death and destruction. Without God in the life, we're left searching for something. Pray for forgiveness, Holy Father. Rain upon them who are new to the water. Guide and protect with your word of honor. We speak to the sheep who are led to the slaughter. Pray for forgiveness, Holy Father. Rain upon them who are new to the water. Guide and protect with your word of honor. We speak to the sheep who are led to the slaughter. It's hard to understand it, how you took it for granted. I look upon the planet and really find a commandment being followed. Trust is tasted but not swallowed. Physically we're solid but spiritually getting hollow. Although you provide us, man wants to guide us with their full tongues and poisonous salivas. Only the strong shall survive the last days. Life in the fast lane is a daily pathway. A blessing to God given. But we live in flesh driven, influenced by the TV, the blurring our vision of visit like the third day. Lord, fulfill my hunger, but I still thirst for ways to obtain mastery. Aim accurately at those using your name and blasphemy. The plot thickens and wicked remain after me. Drastically leaving the people fast asleep.
God, I just thank you for all that you do. Every day you're faithful, Lord God. And I just pray right now that you would just show people the way to you, because you are the way, the truth, and the life. I pray that you continue to use us, Lord. And I just give you all the glory, honor, and praise for it. In Jesus' name, amen. It's dark apart from the light, it's dark in the fight. We lose by default if we ain't walking with Christ. If it's hard to decide, then let your heart be the guide. Reaching far and wide, close by to the Most High. Lord nearby, your back is closer than you think. He's the living water to the thirsty take a drink. He'll never break the link for blessed are the weak. It's eternally facing the truth when we seek it. It's dark apart from the light, it's dark in the fight.
Hey, you was killing it, man. Hey, you was killing it, man. I like know your whole spot. I know your whole jams.
This is the first time I think Eric is hearing this.
Bro, am I talking? I feel like I'm talking like a weird, bro. Am I cool? Is it cool? Like everybody?
No. No. Do you have any more light so we can see your face a bit more? Perhaps like that, like towards you.
I just pray they find the right path. They get to the light. They find you, Lord.
Let's see.
Was Arabic?
Is that too weird? I'm gonna go blind, but I can do it.
What is too weird? Let me see.
My cell phone.
Oh. No worries. Is there a different like way you could face? So you're facing a light, different place you could sit or something. So you're facing a light.
Nah, not
so
really.
You're facing it. Okay, no worries.
I probably can get closer.
Yeah, that's a little better. Yeah. We just need to fix that face now, and then we're there. Let's go. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, man, I really loved how real you are, and just how like you presented a moment that was important. You know what I mean? I just feel like for people who that's like so far from the norm, and also people who that is their norm. You know what I mean? I just feel like there was a real great moment to highlight as far as that whole mind state. So thank you.
Yeah, it's wild. It's a crazy story, but it's like real life, bro. Like,
it's freedom flow.
Yeah, I like.
You know what I mean? Like, go ahead.
Not an epiphany of sorts. Like, we talk about like racism and stuff. The people that like touch it the most, I feel like, are the people that live in communities like this. When you stand out, you know what I mean? Like, if I grew up around people that look like me, not too many people driving by dropping the N-bomb. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know how many people are in Oakland if somebody drive by and call them the N-word, or pull up next to them and be like, "Hey, boy, don't dirty up my town." Like, that's my experience. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So I think you're speaking to this really important point where, Eric B, can we get the beds turned down just a bit on our end? Thank you. The point is that, like, let me show you if I can remember the point. So the point is that, like, it's like, you know, like we're learning where our edge is at. You know what I mean? Like we'll know so much about something until something challenges it. And then we have to challenge our ideals of it. And then we're like, wait, hold on. That's, you know what I'm saying, that we have like this whole cognitive, you know, dissonance that happens to where we like want to get closer to it and understand it further, you know, but it's not until it's exposed as a blind spot will we further investigate. So are your children asleep?
They should be.
They're supposed to be.
They're supposed to be. They haven't came downstairs yet, so they probably are. Nice.
So have you have you done interviews before or podcasts before?
Never.
What? Are you still at Sunset?
I'm still at Sunset.
Okay. Are you still holding a position there?
No, I don't. I don't hold a position there anymore.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or you just attend service?
The apocalypse. Okay. There's no services really.
Oh, like, yeah. The like Zoom service, yeah.
Yeah, well, they have the Sunday evening services, but I have 2 kids who have way too much energy to sit outside and be still, and it's not like I'm not getting anything being there in the sense of like disciplining my children every 5 seconds. You know what I mean? Or trying to keep them like calm. So I let my wife go, and yeah, I'm straight. I got community still. I still got friends who are like about the life and with it and able to dialogue faith, and you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I feel you.
Yeah.
Nice.
But I still go to Sunset though, but.
Bet. I believe I was rebaptized there at one point.
You were, bro. I remember.
Did you remember me falling?
Did you fall?
Did you remember that?
Nah, I remember some of our conversations, bro. I remember in that season of life, talking about your brother. He had got married. And
oh wow. Okay, that's woof. That's like 2001 or 2000, probably 2000.
Maybe a little bit after that, maybe like 2003.
I'm trying to remember when he got married.
Maybe 2004. Okay. But I remember they were on some interest. They had an interesting, like, weren't they in like Satanism, bro?
Yeah, for a second.
Yeah, and I remember that was an interesting season in your life because you're having conversations with your brother, but you're also going to church, and there's like this, like, we had some
duality.
Yeah, some interesting conversations, right? I remember that. Remember Tabitha, bro. We have a common friend in Tabitha as well.
That's what brought me to Sunset was Tabitha.
Yes.
And then I saw you like, oh, what's up? You know, and she's like, oh, you know people here? And I'm like, oh, I know Manny. You know?
Yeah. So Tabitha's the one who brought me to Sunset.
I remember now. Wow.
And we were low key talking, and you guys knew each other from Del Valle or from wherever you guys, Granada, Del Valle. But I just
Granada.
And I knew her in passing. Like I used to see her at school, but never talked to her. And then one day I saw her in and out and like hollered at her and got her number, and she invited me to church. But I was already going to church. We exchanged numbers under the guise of inviting each other to church.
Mysterious ways, you know, that's how divine works.
19 years later, I'm still at that church, and she's not there. So, yeah.
It's ending right here. Hold on. Here we go. Yes, yes. Ooh, that was some more of that Bob James you heard. But before that, you were listening to Father's Water by Repertoire and Manny Me right here, yours truly. And then we heard Bob James Angela, which is actually, let's see if Manny knows. That was a theme song to an old school show. Do you know what show it was?
Man, I was in our conversation. I wasn't even listening to the music, bro.
Okay. Oh, really? Okay.
Now
Yeah.
I
So
wish
that
I'd
song,
listened now.
okay, that song Angela is actually the theme song for Taxi.
Okay,
Which was the birth of a lot of different comedians and actors and actresses. So yeah, more Bob James, man. Like, as you were, as the listeners out there, as you were listening, did you notice any other like excerpts of songs that you heard? Because just the three songs alone had been sampled, and so many like people had gotten little snippets of it of his music because it's so great. Like, what do you think about Bob James, Manny?
I think he's fire. I stumbled upon him. So Spotify is like magic, and
Mhm.
I was making a playlist, and they suggested a Bob James song, and I was like, "Yo, this is crazy. Who is this?" And I had no clue who Bob James was. And you're the one who put me on. Like, yo, everybody samples Bob James because you knew who it was right away. I just thought it was like some random dope sample from some random dude. So yeah, you put me on Bob James. I think he's tight.
Yeah, what's interesting is that my dad plays sax, and in his music is a lot of instrumentation, specifically sax. And I remember like seeing. I remember I was probably listening to Bob James my whole life and just didn't even know it, and just I loved the music, but because it like he wasn't a face on the album in a sense, you know what I mean? I don't think
Yeah,
any of his album covers have his face because he's not really known so much as a singer or your stereotypical band. I really didn't identify it and couldn't put the two and two together. So it's kind of cool. I feel like it's already in my bones. You know what I mean? So awesome. So we're gonna begin this segment with with another activity framed around what would change if. All right. So here we go, Manny. What would change if you had one wish granted?
mm. If I had one wish granted, what would change? It's probably not the most exciting thing. Looking at me think, um, what would change?
Well, what would
I,
you wish for? Yeah. What would your wish be?
I think for more time. Yeah,
Okay.
more time. Because you can't go back in time, but I think yeah, like when I was younger, like having like a vision for my future, I think my life would look different today. Though I'm happy where I'm at today, but I think there's aspects of my life that could have been like different had I known to strategize and plan when I was young.
Hmm.
So instead of, so I think my what would be different if I had one wish. I'd wish for just more time.
Like
But
extended life?
yeah, I can't rewind time. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
I feel you. I feel you. Yeah,
You know,
yeah, you'll be able to see your children's have your great greats. You know what I mean? Okay, how about this? So, what would change if you had control over one of the four elements?
man, I would put the fires out, bro. It's burning everywhere in
Mm,
California right now. Boom, fires is done.
wow. So, would that mean that you'd have the element, the fire element, or would you be the water element and put it out? Like, how would you do it? Or air element and smother it? Like, how would you do it?
Nah, I'd be the fire element and put it out.
And
That'd
just
be
bounce.
crazy.
Be like, oh, my bad. All right, y'all.
Yeah, be able to speak to the
Sorry.
fire,
Yeah.
speak to the flames. Flame, like when you look at fire, bro, it looks like it's alive. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy
Yeah.
to me. Like it's
Yeah, it's like, and on a candle, like the candle will cast a shadow, but the fire won't, in a sense. But
yeah,
you can see it in a sense. It's interesting. So how about this last one? So let's imagine you're because you kind of spoke to this already and touched on it a little bit. Like you're the Manny of now, and you know everything that you know,
yes.
and you keep that. You keep all of your wisdom, all of who you are today. However, tomorrow you wake up and you're in the body of a child, of yourself as a child. What would change?
How old is this child?
You're 4, 5,
I
kindergarten.
think I would wake up as a 5-year old and love myself.
Mm.
Yeah,
What might that look like?
yeah. I think I, as a kid, I felt like my worth was from the outside, not from the inside. So I connected worth to having stuff. You know what I mean?
Okay. Or success to validation in a
Yeah.
sense too. Like, oh, okay, yeah, I did a good job because they said so. Yeah.
Or like just trinkets, even as a little kid. You know what I'm saying? Like I saw kids with bigger, better toys, so they seemed like they were worth. You know what I mean? Like they're specialer than I was or something. You know what I mean? Like I wasn't deserving, but like none of that stuff even means anything. So I would wake up as a 5-year-old and value myself and know like my worth. You know what I mean?
Wow. Well, I can only imagine the things that would come about from that child
Can you
of yours.
imagine
You know what I'm
like
saying?
a kid that's 5 years old that understands like who they are? You know what I'm saying? And like they're not walking with this like like the greatest fear I feel like of like, so I worked with middle schoolers and teenagers for a good chunk of my life. Uh I feel like their greatest fear is like this is being different. They don't want to like they don't want to blend. They want to blend in. They want to like go with go with the flow.
Yeah.
They don't want to like they don't realize that you're the only you. That's what's dope. Like be
Yeah.
who you are. Like be liked or disliked for being you instead of being who you think people want you to be. So if so I have like I have a 7-year-old and a 5-year-old. So I stay preaching that to my kids, like, like your value doesn't come from how you dress, how you look, how you talk. Like God made you in his image. You have worth and you have value. And treat people accordingly because they have worth and they have value. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, and you support that with the unconditional love that you give them. Like regardless if they failed or if they, accidentally hurt someone, like you love them the same, right? That doesn't shift it. You know what I mean? Their worth is not dependent upon their efforts or or their success or whatever it is that they might be pinning it on at that moment.
life.
A beautiful thing. Shouts out to Mike Lerner, gentleman I met with today. He said something along the same lines. He said, what if people only want two things? Like all they want is an opportunity to share their gifts, their inner message, their inner like their highest, and they want a space to do that and to be accepted for that. Like to be just that. Can I just be that? That's who I am. Like can I just be amongst all of you as that? Though it may be completely different than what everybody else has. You know what I'm saying? Just to be able to be that and to be free in that. That's why it's freedom flow.
And I was gonna say, bro, that's freedom right there, right? To be comfortable in your skin. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like there's freedom in that. Like
yeah. Like Bruce said, there's nothing like honestly expressing yourself.
Right? And
there's nothing like that.
That's so true. Like I wasn't raised in church, so I have like friends from different like paths. But if you're around me, there's not like a shift in. I'm just who I am. You know what I mean? Like I'm just me. I stopped putting on a caricature or like stop putting on who people want me to be. I'm just Manny, bro.
Yeah. You don't need to show up for them. You just need to show up.
Basically. Yeah, bro.
So let's keep that frame. What would change if, and if you could ask me any questions that begin with that, what would you ask me? Like what would change if, and then, Yep.
I'm gonna flip the same question you asked me, the last one though.
Oh, okay.
What would change if you knew everything that you knew now as a 5-year-old? Woke up tomorrow and you were 5 and you knew everything that you know now. That's a wild question.
No. It was. Well, here's what's interesting is like I would give myself permission to heal people. I always felt the impulse to want to help people because like I would see people in predicaments or in circumstances or even in physical, pain, and I just like had the impulse. I just felt as if like, oh, I know what to do, or like, oh, I just felt like the other half of that. You know what I'm saying? Like the other end of the or like I felt as if like I held this energy that could be the potential means to their sorrow or their suffering. And I feel as if I would give myself permission to just be that and to own it. Because then I would can only imagine how far advanced I would be in my own journey and how many more people I would have been able to help had I been that free with it and that ambitious to really want to, give that a voice.
That's dope.
Got another one?
What would change if just come off the wall. What would change if all your dreams came true?
Wow. Interestingly enough, that's not off the wall. I've been asked that before. If all my dreams came true, yeah, if all my dreams came true, the whole value system of this world would be accurate to what it actually really is, and money. Therefore, money wouldn't exist. And if it did, it would be, like, when money was money, it was like gold. It had worth. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But now it's just printed on this paper, and it's just this, cloth paper that's, unduplicatable in a sense. And so I guess I if all my dreams came true, everything would return back to its essence, and it would be grounded and anchored there in such a way where it won't be led astray. It would refuse to be led astray. Nice. Thank you so much for sharing that, because like I how you discover sometimes things about yourself when people poke at it and this is like there this whole time, like, oh, hey, that was there. So thank you. Good looking out. So let's catch up to the Manny of now. You know what I mean? You said, you have 2 children, and I've only met your daughter, Cadence. And this was back when she was still little, right? She was like 2 or like 2.5 or something like that, right?
Yeah, she was
just
2,
walking.
Bro. Yeah, she was a little babe, 2 years old. Now I got 2, 7 and 5. She's 7 going on 14. It's weird raising a 7-year-old. She's my mini me, bro, in that she's a question asker, and she's really like thoughtful, and she has a really strong like inner world, but she's really like girly at the same time. So it's fascinating to like interact with the little human who's really like aware, but not really aware because she's only been on Earth 7 years. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But she's really observant. So you can't just like talk to her like flippantly, because she's really like thoughtful.
Yeah. So it's dope that you're noticing these self traits that you have that she's inheriting in a way.
Yeah.
And yeah. Go ahead.
And my son, same thing. He's they're super different. Like she's inside of herself, like how I am. My son is really outward. He's really like outwardly emotional, hilarious.
Like me, probably like me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
He's actually really the way your energy is similar to his energy. Like
we get along. Yeah, I've never met him, but yeah, I feel like I have already.
He's a character, bro. He's hilarious, and it's fascinating. Like have you seen that movie Inside Out?
And what is it? Yeah, the one with the feelings inside. It's a Disney movie, right? Pixar.
Yeah, when they have.
Yeah, I love that one. With Riley.
It's so dope. So it made me curious to see if that's a real thing. If they really have like, what's it? Emotional. Like if we have a dominant like emotion, we have all the emotion. We have all the emotions because we're human.
Oh yeah, no, that's totally true.
Yeah. So then I was like,
the wiring. Like, that's what's dope about that movie is that like it's so like.
So there's anger, there's fear, sadness, joy, and disgust.
Disgust. Yeah, disgust.
Is it disgust? All right. So I'm watching this with my kids. It's like not even a month ago, and I said, "Hey, Cadence, what do you think your emotion is?" And I was hella shocked with her response. She said sadness, and I was like, "Oh, really?" And I was like, "Oh, why?" And she's like, "I'm always sad." And it's like, dang, that's wild. So I said, "What do you think Darren's is?" Which is my son. And she was like, "Anger." Interesting. It's super interesting. But then like, now that she said that, I like see it. Like she's not like a sad kid in the sense of like walking around like crying and like, but there's like there can be, because she's really like thoughtful, almost like a melancholiness sometimes. It's like, bro, like it's all good, bro. Life is good. But
yeah. Perhaps you're learning a bit more of how sensitive your daughter actually really is.
Yeah.
Right.
And I didn't,
to what you might not show, right?
And what I didn't say was that's not who you are. Like, because like she thought about it, reflected, there's these ones. This is what I think my dominant one is. It doesn't mean that she's super sad. Like, the mom and the mom was sad. The dad's was anger. You know what I'm saying? She said mine was joy. I don't think that's the case. I think probably it'd be fear or sadness. One of those two.
Yeah, but you got to think of like who you're like what like. Okay, I guess the version of you that you're kind of drawing this from, and then the version of you that she's drawing it from.
Yeah.
Right. In contrast, right? she knows you as, I mean, that's so dope. Just to imagine having your daughter see you as someone who's happy and joyful. Like if it's about the pursuit of happiness and fulfillment, like, yo, like you're doing it. And like, I can only imagine like the other vicarious ways in which you are kind of like experiencing more of a childhood freedom, like it just through her, and like how protective you are over her being able to have that, and someone, you know what I'm saying, preventing that her from thinking or being like that. You know what I'm saying? That's super dope.
Oh, it's wild, bro. Like it's fascinating. And I think like being a father, and like being a person of faith, like God calls himself father. And he could have chose any title for himself. He could have been like dictator or just like master. But like, but being a father, and think that like if the Bible is true and God is who he claims to be, to think that God cares about people in the way that I care about my kids, but perfectly, blows my mind, bro. Like that blows me away. Because
definitely,
like, yeah, it goes so deep. But it's like, man, that's what gives me freedom. It's like, man, my kids could not do enough wrong for me to disown them or dislike them, or, you know what I mean? Like they could do something off the wall, bro, and I would love them at 100%. Would I be disappointed? Absolutely. If I was the person responsible for the consequence, absolutely. But I love them 100%, and that's how God is, man. Like he loves us, bro. Like, and that gives me confidence. It pushes me and propels me forward, knowing that like his love for me is not based off my performance, but based off who he is as father.
Yeah, bet, and how you're following that example, right? In that sense, and heeding to that. Awesome. So thank you so much, man. We're going to get deeper into your journey and perhaps where it's going after this next music break. You're about to hear some more Bob James. And I think from my studies, this is probably the most sampled song that he's done. And from that video he was talking about, it was that last song. It was like, it's like the last song on the album. You know what I mean? He just kind of threw it on there. You know, this is Nautilus, yo.
I was saying, already knew what it was.
And then after that will be the poem piece. So tune in close to that. It's Gemini Poetic Bloodlines. And, you know, KCBZ Radio, it's going down. We're here on the flow with Manny and Bob James. And what's dope about this song, Nautilus, is that it goes so many places. And I can see why he called it Nautilus, because it does sound like as if he's underwater, kind of with the bass line.
I heard the ghost face right away.
Yeah, so much in that. So yeah, as you're listening, listeners out there, check it out. I mean, notice what little excerpts, like I said, as we're listening to these Bob James, because a lot of people, a lot of influence through the culture of hip hop and culture of music in general. Freedom Flow, Repertoire, signing off. We're about to go underwater, y'all. Nautilus, Bob James. Check it out. Oh, I got a puppet show coming up too.
A puppet show?
No, I'm kidding. I was kidding. So, E, that's a perfect level on the bed for our conversation. When it comes to the poem, if you could, that's your boy Darren. Nice.
Look at this person. That's his personality, right? He's a character.
That's me, bro. I told you, though. We get down. It's a little Randy. So yeah, Eric, if you could turn it up a bit during the poem, so Manny could hear it, and we can all hear it when it comes to that. Thank you so much. You're killing it too, by the way, Eric. Thank you so much.
Got you. One love. Y'all sound good.
Blessings. Man, and bull.
Okay.
Okay, so who do you? I think someone I was looking up. I think Rakim sampled this as well.
Rakim. That's what I heard.
Run DMC. I think sampled this as well.
That's what he said in the interview. He said Rakim, Run DMC to Nautilus.
Yeah, I know Jer from Lunar Heights sampled this. That part right there. Dun, dun, dun. Like who else? Do you have any songs that you're aware of that sample this?
Off the rip, I just know the Ghostface. The doo 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 doo.
Okay. Yeah, from what my dad told me, Bob James is more on the keys. Because if you listen to it, a lot of it's key dominant. A lot of the main melodies are keys. What
is this genre? Jazz?
Nice question. I think it would be because of its movements, and it's almost as if he's kind of just jamming.
That's what it sounds like. He's just playing.
I can't think of another genre that this would be in the pocket for. I mean, I feel like it has the elaborateness to almost be categorized as classical. You know what I'm saying? Because of its compositions and depth and its sonnets and you know what I mean? Its movements.
This is so dope, dude.
So yeah, you know what I think I remember too? Like I think I remember after meeting you and after like flowing with you a bit, like I was inspired to write too. Myself, to
This
write
was
more.
Slick Rick did this too.
Thank you, Eric B. Yes, he's Slick
Know this
Rick.
story.
Yes. What is it? Sign of the Times on Regulate, Warren G, Nate Dogg. That at the beginning, dun, 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 dun. That's Sign of the Times, Bob James.
Is it?
Yes. Well, test it. Anyways, what I was saying is that, I think I remember coming to you with like a written verse, and I'm like, "What do you have to write?" And they're like, "Oh, okay, well, I'm gonna write one too." And like, I think I remember like wanting to go back and forth with you, someone who inspired me to get deeper into the craft, because freestyling, like, kind of, like, I guess like freestyling was dope, like when you're present with another MC, but like you want to go, you go home and you take that energy and you kind of, you know what I'm saying, you want to bring more to it and organize it a bit more. You know what I mean? So I was inspired to do that from you. So thank you.
That's what's up, bro.
It's all your fault.
We spent hours and hours and hours and hours rapping on the porch of that church, bro. You had your little boombox.
Always had a boombox.
The trademark boombox, bro. And you always have the dope fedoras or dope hats. the blue camouflage hat. I was like,
camo. You're killing me. Do you remember my graduation? What I wore?
So I wasn't there when you graduated. I went back to Livermore High. I was only there for a year.
You did. Hey, you were. I think I do remember that.
Yeah. So the way it went, I got kicked out my sophomore year for truancy. I went to Del Val. Never cut.
We'll get into that. Here we go.
One night, God came to me in a dream with a scheme that seemed to be out of this world. He approached me and opened his robe and showed me a hypodermic needle in the shape of a pen, and my first reaction was to step back fast, but then God grabbed me and said, "Slow down, my child. I've got a job for you to do." And with a burst of light, God grabbed my arm and said, "I mean you no harm." And he pushed the pen in, and it filled my arteries, and God chartered me to write some new issue, some truth, something just for you. And when I was done with part one, God said, "Write some part two issue." He injected me with Billy's Blues and the muse of Langston Hughes. And God said, "You've acquired some of the tools in the schools you've been attending, but now it's time to stop pretending." And he started sending into my bloodstream the poetic feats of John Keats and the published greats of W.B. Yeats. And just when I thought God was through, he started slipping me hits of Maya Angelou. And God asked, "Do you know what I've handed you?" And my response was no. And God said, "Let me show." And he continued to fill my veins the same way he had been, giving me a fix of Emily Dickinson, and my bloodstream seemed to scream as God gave me the liquidated literary genius of W.E.B. And I got lost between doses of Robert Frost, and my eyes got blurry in a flurry, and I was no longer seeing them, but I could feel Emerson, Tennyson, and Stevenson. And God said, "You won't get far without Paul Laurence Dunbar, and you can't start spitting till I've given you Whitman." And God kept filling me, and it felt like he was killing me. And I closed my arm tight, and God snapped it back open and screamed, "You're not yet ready to write." He said, "Tonight has just begun. Everything's all right, my son. You see, I need you. I use poetry to teach people. The world I created has been overrun by ignorant thinking, and I need poets to take the world back and break the curse. Now unbend your arms so I can give you William Wordsworth." And again, the pen was shoved in my veins, and God grabbed the reins, and as if I was a mule, he said, "I'll use you as my tool and plow the field with you, fulfilling empty minds' needs while planting knowledge seeds. No longer will it be a flourishing time for malnourishing minds. I want you to make intelligence a law, because ignorance is a crime. Now I need you to go and reap what you sow while captivating minds like Edgar Allan Poe. I gave you the wings, so now fly like the raven. This world needs saving. Feel free to fight off your fears, because they'll disappear within this injection of my tears, which contains the remains of great things gone and new things to come beyond the next dawn. You're the next in a bloodline of greats. You are a poet. You command the attention of large groups. You ready the troops for revolution. You write words that can commend or condemn, turn boys into men, make other poets push pens, and you must be about something more than slam scores based on 10, because you are a poet. Think about all the great things poets have accomplished, and when the writing gets rough, Hold on to your pen and don't drop this. Always take time in your mind to reflect back on the fact that you're the next to step forth from a poetic bloodline.
Woo, whoo, whoo, whoo. The microphone is on fire from Gemini. You just heard Nautilus from Bob James and then Poetic Bloodlines by Gemini. We are here with Manny, our guest, and we'll hear from you first. What did you think about Poetic Bloodline?
Man, that was incredible. I'm big into lyricism. So like the content was crazy. So yeah, content was crazy, but the lyricism, the way he puts his words together was mad. Mad. Yeah.
Yeah, I really love how like the crowd. He got like two. They were clapping before he was even done it at most points. Like he was moving people. Like woo! Like they were audibly like kind of responding to the things he was saying, the energy he put into the room, and the way he framed it around this story with God and how like the pen was in his veins. Like you know what I mean? And
but there's something to that though, bro.
Yeah.
Like the word.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the logos, like in Greek, like God is the logos. So it says in the beginning was the word, and the word was with God, and the word was God. So to have this poet using his words, like words are meaningful. They're not flipped. You know what I mean? Like our words mean something. It's not just like there's energy in it. You know what I'm saying? It's not just like that's why we don't like I'm not like one of those weird dudes who think like there's a devil behind every tree. But when we speak, there's something good. We put things out there. You know what I'm saying? So we can't help but respond to that because there's power in it.
Yeah, that's exactly where I was going to go with that. Like, there's so much depth into where he was. Like, there's so many metaphors within a lot of the stuff he was saying, and just where he kind of wind up at the end. Just a reminder of like, like we're poets. You know what I'm saying? Like this is there was something about the orator back then, right? There's something about the arts, like the people who could conjure up that energy was so vital to the communities. And how just it's so far from that in some senses, you know what I mean? It was, as far as like, the media or the capitalism is concerned, you know what I mean? And just extracting, the culture from it for its profit, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Any last words on that?
Nah, it's, I more of that. that's it, man. Like our bar is so low for what we like accept as like art. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you can be famous without being talented. You know what I mean? Like you could be famous from just being infamous, I guess. But like there's people who are who have 100 million views on YouTube and they're not even saying anything. And that's wild to think that like there's a time when like Stevie Wonder was famous because he was talented. And now people have 100 billion views for saying Gucci Gang 65 times.
Yeah, it's almost like fame in itself, and just like the I guess how we would revere someone in a sense, kind of like it lost its luster because like like this day and age, a conversation might go, well, is he TikTok famous or YouTube famous, or you know what I'm saying? Like it's that kind of like comparison of like, well see, you know what I'm saying, like this.
And I think this I don't know when this changed, and I don't think it's always been the case. I think our society, the end goal is fame. When back in the day, the end goal, like people were artists and talented. So fame would be a byproduct of their art or their talent. When now fame is the end goal.
Yeah.
And you don't have to be talented, and you could be famous without talent.
Yeah. Well, it's almost like the artists back then were putting the piece before them. So this song would have far more fame than they wanted the song to have far more fame than they would, or the message in the song to have far more fame than them. You know what I mean? So I'm putting this on the forefront because I'm just the vehicle of this in a sense, rather than like, oh, it's about me, and I say this, and this, and I just keep repeating myself, which is kind of what it's like. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm not even trying to hate on this song just because that's not my energy. But like the Old Town Road song is the most like listened to song on Spotify ever. It's like the longest #1 song I think ever in the history of like music. And to think of all the great artists that come before Lil Nas X, who don't hold that distinction. But that's crazy to me to think like Michael Jackson's not the #1
Thriller?
artists
He beat out Thriller?
Prince, Nirvana.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
no, I feel you. I
Ozzy,
feel it's flimsy. Yeah,
a million other artists before him,
well,
and
yeah, well, once again, it's like it's not the bar's not held so like it's so high, so therefore even to have it and it's Instagram, like the I was saying on the interview I did with on KPFA with Eric, songs these days have the shelf life of milk. Like it won't be long. You know what I'm saying? You got to come up with another single again and it's, keep doing it. I love how you're like framing it with, I'm not hating. I love what Ari Spears said. He says something along the lines of like, I don't hate because like I don't like it or anything. I just, what I'm saying, I just don't approve of how lazy you are. You know what I mean? Because it's like doesn't sound very intricate. You know what I'm saying? You're not putting much effort into this. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like if this is the best of you too, it's like, you need a lot more work before you get to number one. You know what I mean? In a sense, because the bar is held at a certain standard, once again, but we can go on and on about that. I really want to shift the conversation back to you, my friend, because, unfortunately you're about to tell the story about Livermore High, like going back there, right?
Yeah.
Before we got into the poem. So would you like to finish that?
I don't remember.
If you can recall it.
I don't remember where I was at, bro. Yeah. Oh, just going to Del Val. I went there because of truancy, because I didn't go to class. So I go to Del Val. I learned work ethic, but I played sports. So I remember that was like my what landed me. What one of the things that shifted me was a desire to get back into playing football. So I had to like perform academically if I wanted to like go back to regular high school and and play football. So I started working on my grades, but then I got kicked out of Livermore High with a 0.6 and graduated with a 4.0. So
wow.
it was never a matter of like intelligence. It was always effort. And I think that's most people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True that.
Yeah. So
great point.
So Livermore High was it was like interesting for me to get back there and switch the game up. And my perspective was different even at Livermore High, because I say I learned work ethic at Del Val. And I was able to go back to Livermore and carry that same like work ethic. So then what I learned was if you show up, you'll pass. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't take a whole lot to like succeed in like cookie cutter school programs. Just go, show up, do your work, and you'll pass. And then yeah. And I was fortunate that I did really well. Yeah, even in college, like yeah.
Nice. Griff, and that's a bit more of kind of like, so what I know of you is, Sunset, and you're becoming the youth part of the youth pastor there, correct? Was that your role there?
Yeah.
And you were doing that for how many years?
4 years.
4 years, and then I kind of catch back up to you again, and now you're at Starbucks. But I'm curious as to like what were you doing like before COVID? Is there like and in what way has this whole pandemic shifted your life?
So prior to COVID, I was engrossed in like my studies, because I was because Starbucks paid for me to go to school. So I'm at Starbucks. I was at Starbucks until I was done with school. So now that I'm finished, so my whole entire like focus was like knocking that out. So I just like finished my like last studies, and then the pandemic happened. So it kind of like shifted everything, because now it's like the world's closed down. So my next step is like, I don't know, like everything's shut down and everything's weird. You know what I'm saying? So like I want to teach. I want to teach high school, and I want to get into I want to do a credentialing program so I can like teach at a high school.
So that was your intention after getting the BA, was to get into that credentialing program and then eventually find yourself into high school education? Yeah,
and I think if I'm keeping it a buck, the way everything like fell apart with the world falling apart, some of my like zeal and energy for that kind of like waned too. It's like, man, like everything's like broken and weird, and I don't want to go to weird school. I want to like do a regular credentialing program and not the COVID version. But yeah,
but who's to say? I mean, like, once again, like I hear you saying all of what you're saying based on the frame that was, right? And as we speak, the frame is being reconstructed.
Yeah,
right?
the world is what it was, is not what it is today. Like the world is
because
going forward, it's going to be different.
And I feel as if, as first world as America is, we want to at least bring things back as close as we can to baseline, right? So there's a lot of workings and things and people are thinking and brainstorming on ways to how to like kind of reinvent and find our way back to the access that we once had and the success we once had. Is that like you know, like I mean, so I would imagine like if you were thinking about this in a different frame, like perhaps maybe you might have a different outcome.
Yeah, it's an excuse if I'm being honest. You know, sometimes I'll keep it.
That's what it sounded like. You're keeping it a
Oh,
buck. So I was like, you know, I want to call that out a little bit because
yeah,
it sounded like, you know, that ain't the Manny I know.
yeah. It was just it breeded some lethargy because I worked so hard for like the last couple of years going to school, and then everything slowed down. So the rev back up was like, yeah. So now I'm in a process of revving again. So
Okay. Yeah. So let's. What's dope is that we are in the rev segment of this interview, right? And it's about like so. I mean, because you're revving to, you know, you accelerate, right? Accelerate, go forward,
going
up, or
forward, yeah.
whatever. It's furthering trajectory, right? So let's fast forward a little bit in this. Like, let's say you did have your credentials. Let's say there was a school that needed someone just like you. What is Mr. Megan? Was that what they would call you? Yes, Mr. Megan, Mr.
Nope.
Manny. What do you think?
Oh,
What's your teacher name?
Manny. Just call me Manny.
Manny. Okay, Manny. So,
Manny the teacher.
so what makes Manny's class one in which the students don't want to leave?
Yeah, I think the honesty in it and the genuineness in it and the challenge in it. So like as somebody who struggled with school, I realized that like some of the aspects of how we do school in our country is regurgitate, you know what I'm saying? But learning is dope. Like getting information. Maybe everybody don't feel this way, but I know this.
Yeah.
But I like information. Like I'm curious. I want to know how the world works. You know what I mean? Like I want to teach history. I'm fascinated by history. So and I think every teacher that I've ever had who's been like monumental in my life in just regular like academia, I've been teachers. You could tell they're passionate about what they did. Like they love what they did. Like
yeah.
And I know that like with curriculums, there's an end that they want you to have, but I want to challenge those like ideas, even give them what they need to graduate. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey,
yeah.
say this and say that and you'll pass. But have you considered this or what about that? You know what I mean? Because teachers do that anyway. So
yeah, but it's helping the child learn because we all learn differently. You know what I mean? So maybe they're directing it in a different way than they did for the whole class. So then that person could actually get it a bit more because they're more auditory or they're more experiential. So they did something different that would kind of open a different door for them. And I love how you like touched on like maybe that's not everybody. You know what I mean? Because perhaps there are people listening right now. Maybe they are that person or know someone who is struggling right now in their education, especially with, you know, how everything has shifted because of COVID. What advice might you have for someone, especially maybe the teenagers out there who are like in the midst of like, oh man, I got a 0.6, but whatever, and they're not even valuing what's cracking. Like, what would you say to somebody if you knew that was going on with them?
I would say that like you have to want it for yourself. You know what I mean? Like people can poke you and prod you and say, hey, you need to do this. But until you value it for yourself and understand like your decisions affect you, there's no amount of words can like change that. So for me, it took me getting kicked out of school to like see, dang, I don't like where my life is going and like the trajectory of this. And then in the process of that learning, like, man, actually there's things that I enjoy. Like I like learning. I like history. Like, yeah. So I would tell like young people who are like my 7-year-old, like she's bored with like distance learning. But it's a means to an end, you know what I'm saying? It's not yeah, so you have to want it for yourself because all the teachers saying, hey, get it together, like they're gonna go home, they're gonna get their check regardless if you perform well or perform bad. You know?
Yeah, and perhaps maybe it's like linking it to something that they want. Like for you, it was sports, academics. You wanted football, therefore, in order to, you had to fulfill this one area to get to that other place. It was like a benchmark or a stepping stone in a sense.
But
right?
in the process of that, I realized like, yo, school is not like bad. I think some of the way we go about it is bad, but there's information is cool, man. Like I like learning. Like I say, like I enjoyed history. Like I got a certificate from the state my junior year when I went back to Livermore High for history, and I was so shocked that like I retained so much information about history that I was able to get some kind of like star testing like paper. I remember my mom was all proud, and I never like experienced that kind of stuff before because I always got bad grades. So
Yeah.
it's like, oh man. So like I eat it up. So I think that's another thing too is like everything is not your cup of tea. So go through the motions and so on some level and do what you got to do. But there's other classes that you'll be in and like suck it up if you're enjoying it because
Nice.
yeah.
I like that. Like there's a reminder to kind of savor the goodness of it because sometimes when things are going bad, it taints everything in a sense. That
Yeah.
one bad apple, you know what I mean?
Like I'm
No.
a religious studies major like in college now. Like
Mhm.
I got my degree in religious studies. I didn't enjoy every class that I took, but there's some classes that I took that I was like mind blown, like loved it.
Yeah.
And some were like surprises. You know what I'm saying?
It
Like
compensated for the boredom that you had to kind of endure in a
yeah,
sense for
but
the
it's a
things.
means to end. So you just
Yeah.
learn to do what you got to do. You know what I'm saying? And
So
yeah.
what does it look like for you to do what you got to do to actually get Manny's classroom an actual thing? And this could be a virtual classroom. You know what I'm saying? It could be, ideally a real life classroom. But if that's what it meant, what might be the steps for you?
So step one right now is I just I'm in the process of becoming a caretaker on the side of working with Starbucks. To bring in more income, living in Northern California is kind of expensive.
Mhm.
So in order for me to get into a credentialing program, I need money for that. So yeah, I think once I land there, I
Okay.
think we're good. I think I have ins in the schools because I've been on campus a lot from when I
Mhm.
was a youth pastor.
Mhm.
That I know some people. So I think once I have my paper, it won't be the craziest task for me to get into a classroom.
Yeah, and yeah, exactly. It sounds like it's a matter of just you showing up. It's a
Yeah.
matter of you know what, Manny, it feels like you got to want it. You know,
For,
to
for
hold up
real?
a mirror and to repeat, yeah, just to, and so like, what is there a time frame in which you kind of see this like, popping off? Because I'm planning the party right now, so I just kind of want to know when to reserve the location. So
Yeah. There's not a definitive time frame, but if this time next year, I wouldn't be shocked if I was doing at the least student teaching of some sort. So
yeah, maybe
'cause
that's the
that's part of it, right? Like you you join programs, but you still got to sit inside of classrooms and student teach. So
Yeah, and I feel like that's the field learning in a sense too. Like it's so integral that like before you actually, like step into the field, that you have some sort of experience under someone who knew how to hold it down, right? So like if there's anything that you dropped or something that like you didn't learn yet, you can kind of learn it through their experience in a sense, secondhand. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Wow, I can't wait. I cannot wait. I'd love to be a guest, like educator in your class of some sort and do a little workshop or something. I think that'd be super dope if we can like arrange that somehow.
man, I think that's possible. I don't know, maybe through Corona stuff, bro. I don't know.
Yeah. How is it really going down? Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, man. It's been such a journey, man. And I'm so glad that we're still friends. I'm so glad that like throughout the years, like, the people that, I highly regard are people that still close to my life and they're still doing their thing. You know what I mean? I always had faith in you, Manny. I always knew that you were like, I knew I was getting something really great out of our friendship because I always felt good afterwards. Like, when you came to the session, and because it's like you said, it's kind of rare that we got to kick it, but then that's what made it beautiful. So I can only imagine the students that are going to be so fortunate to have you, what I'm saying, as their teacher and the father that you have become. So thank you. I'm proud of you, and do your thing.
That's what's up, bro. That means a lot, bro. For real, for real. Like that puts some perspective on it too. Just thinking about the impact, you know what I mean, of touching students. Like,
Yeah, man.
yeah, it's real.
Freedom flow, baby. Freedom flow. Blessings. So we're wrapping up over here, man. I'm curious. Do you, if someone was like, yo, I would love to have him as a teacher at my school, and they already have the opportunity, how could someone get a hold of you? What are some handles that you can share with us?
Man, off the top, I don't even know, bro. I got my I got my regular old email, eternalmindset@gmail.com.
Okay.
Let me see what my Instagram is. I don't even know off the top what my Instagram is.
Okay.
My Instagram is E_D_Megan.
Nice.
Follow me on Instagram.
Like and subscribe. And then
Like and
also,
subscribe.
any shout outs you got, man? We got about one more minute. Any shout outs you got for peoples?
Man, shout out to Freedom Flow for having me on. This is fun. I enjoyed this, man. This is Yeah, it's fun. Shout out to my family, my wife, my gracious wife, for giving me the space to come downstairs and just chop it up. Yeah. Shout
Mhm.
out to Sunset Church. No,
Yep, that's what's up, Pastor D.
Pastor D.
Yo, well, thank you so
Because
much.
the Corona delayed this, bro. This is supposed to happen in March.
Right? You feel me, right? So,
Yeah.
anyways, if you want to be part of the flow, be sure you contact us at the number one freedom, the number one flow at gmail.com. If you want to be a guest, any feedback, anything. Well, this wraps up this episode. We're about to get to some more Bob James, one of my favorites from Dali, and it's like the B-boy jiggity jam. My hope is that you stay well, you stay safe, stay tuned for Melanated and Spiritually Woke with adorable KCBZ Radio, Freedom Flow. This is Repertoire signing off. Blessings. Bob James. Thank you, Manny.
Hey, thank you.
The timer works, baby. Yeah. That was right on, baby. That was right on. Manny, we did it. Yeah. Like every time I hear that, I just feel like I won. I don't know what I won, but I'm like,
No, that's a game show intro right there.
oh man. Yo, like this song like should have been on the Rocky movie. It just feels like Rocky.
It feels epic.
Right? It just
Bro, I have a friend that I feel like would be a dope guest on your show. I want you guys to connect, man. I want to, I'll give you his information. Maybe you can reach out to him and just let him know that.
Give me a quick episode. What is it about him that you feel would be a good fit?
We used to went to school together at Oakland.